Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel, Juliet Neil Crafts. That's me. It's been that long since I've made a video, I can barely remember. Yes, so today it is time for Dawn and Julia Create, and I just want to say, look, we can touch our stuff. It's lovely. And also I painted my nails pink because in my last video I was looking at my nails and they were quite frankly disgusting. And Dawn's were so pretty, so yeah, I prettied up my nails. Anyhow, that's not why you've tuned in, is it? You've tuned in to see what on earth we're crafting. So as I was dondering about the range the other day, I remembered that I was pretty sure I had seen Dawn haul this. I think I made something out of it briefly when I originally hauled it. And since then, it has remained untouched on my shelf. So, yeah, I thought we'd do a Dawn and Julia Create with this. So, what I've said, my sheet isn't complete, but that's fine. What I've said is that we'll use this cut-out sheet. I'll just get the sheets that I've mentioned, right. So we've got this cut-out sheet, which I will take out properly. I do still have the bits of these. It's just, yeah, I'll pop them out in a minute. I'm also trying to get this down without knocking this cup of tea over, because quite frankly that could be disastrous. We've got this piece of paper here with these 4 sentiments, and this one here with polka dot on one side and love hearts on the other. So with these 3 sheets of paper, what we are to do is to make a piece of wall art, and the focal point of the wall art has to be one of these sentiments. We are to then make a matching card and a tag. So it's like if you give the wall art to somebody as a gift, you've also got a card to write them a little message and a tag for the wrapped up present. So that is the idea. I can't remember the things I added. I will check my list. It's something along the lines of white gesso, texture paste, thread, paper flowers, yeah, I've got that one there. Paper flowers, a black pen. Yeah, and I think that's it. It was just sort of odds and ends to sort of create texture for the wall art. So what I'm going to do is just pop these out, find something to use as a substrate, and then we will be back and get started. I think I'm ready. I've just double checked my message to Dawn. I can also use gesso, texture paste, threads, beads and or gems, paper flowers, gouache and black pen, and we can also use a stencil as well. So I'm going for this one. I'd rather wear flowers in my hair than diamonds around my neck, partly because there's a bit in Anne of Green Gables where she goes, well, I'd rather have my string of pearls given to me with all the love than any of those stuffy women's jewels, and I just quite like the thought of that. Plus I think it goes quite nicely with the pink. And also, can we just please note, this is green, so I do not have an issue with green because off my own back I have chosen a green topper. The difference being this is not snot green. Okay, just putting that out there. Anyway, I was like, what we're going to use as a substrate. I found this in amongst all my cardboard. It looks like a bit of mount board. I don't know whether it's a bit of offcut of mount board that I've squirreled away from somewhere, or the back of a notepad or something or other. Anyway, I've also popped out all of my die cuts, and I'm now going to use these off-cutty bits as texture. I bet you Dylan's going to do that actually. Ooh, it's nice and stripy on this side. Let's do that! Right, so I am just literally going to layer this up, and we're going to just put masses of texture. It's funny because when I first went to go and get a substrate, I was going to go for square. And sort of have this in the centre, whereas now we've kind of got a rectangle and this, so that could make it, it's going to make it a bit more interesting, I think. Right, so once I have got all of this, I've also genuinely lost my glue gum. I mean, thankfully I have 4, because when I did classes, when I taught classes, back in the days when we didn't have to social distance and all that malarkey, and I did classes, I needed, oh, I like that going across there like that. Right, so I'm going to be going with my gel medium. The other thing as well though is actually I only have half an hour till I have to go and pick my daughter up from school. So the other thing is I was thinking that if I get sort of the base texturey stuff stuck down and everything, it's going to be later this evening before I am in a position to be working on it again anyway, so it doesn't really matter that I don't have a glue gun. I mean, I'm sort of totally working at last minute. Again, I have got distracted because the papers have arrived for the new paper kit that is going to be released in February for our anniversary show, and quite frankly I'm just distracted by that. So they've arrived and I've been busy packing them. I'm still at the stage of packing them where I'm excited because they're new and they're pretty and they look so good in real life. Once I get to like packing hundreds of them and hundreds at the novelty wears off. Sorry about that little jingly jangling. We have a cat. And as this cat is definitely of the hunter variety, I mean I know all of them are, but this one is particularly, yes, I kind of knew from as soon as she was a kitten that we were going to have issues with this one. She used to walk around with this toy mouse, literally from the first day or two that we got her, and just walk around the house with this toy mouse in her mouth. Now we have mice and we have birds. We had a robin the other day. Poor robin didn't make it. So far we've managed to save 3 mice. No, 4. We've managed to save 4 mice. So the mice we've managed to save. I thought I'd saved one of the birds, but it died by the time the man had got here. Yeah, the birds haven't been quite so fortunate. Yes, so that jingle. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying. So yeah, I've been busy packing paper pads. As I said, once the novelty soon sort of wears off after I've done loads of them and the back starts twinging. But actually it's quite good. Sometimes I find if I just do sort of like a little bit every day, and I've got till February the 1st, so we can just sort of work our way through that. Right, so that is my texture for my piece. We'll just rip that off. Waste not, want not. And then I will get out some of my stencils and we'll get some texture paste on here. And then we'll probably just leave it to dry. At this point, see, I like doing stuff like this. I know I've discussed it a few times in my lives, but it's kind of like, what's the point? I think it does add texture, and I love layering, and I think even if you cover most of this up, you do get an element of the fact that you've layered things up. And also I find that at this stage I'm not thinking, I have no idea what my finished piece is going to be right now. I'm not thinking at all. I'm just getting stuff down. And I tend to find that when I'm doing that, I'm just in some sort of creative, it just gets me in the flow. It's just like, it gets me started. Quite often, you know, when we hear of this sort of like fear of the blank page sort of idea, I'm going to use this thread because it's actually got a little sequin in it, which again I just think would be really good for texture. So let's just unravel a load of this out. Yeah, so I do sort of find it does make a difference, but for me it's more about getting into the creative flow. It's like by the time I've, you know, stuck some bits of paper on and added a layer of gesso, and it's like you get into the, it's almost like a warm-up, you know, like you've got like basketball players and football players and they just, you know, they run around the pitch and they do headers and kick to one another, and same when you watch tennis, it's like things go back and forth, and it's not, you're not into the main match yet. It's just a warm-up. But they do that because then the body memory kicks in, so that when you are starting to you know, play for real, as it were, it's there. I'm literally just grabbing blobs of gesso. This isn't gesso at all. This is gel medium. just to get this adhered and stuck down to something. Yeah, so for this for me is like my warm-up. It's just getting stuff on the page, it's getting me into the creative flow, I'm feeling the brush in my hand. Yeah, it's just sort of getting me into the right place where I can then start to create an awful lot more. So I'm thinking that we're probably going to have that maybe like that. So I need a lot more of that up the top and down the bottom here. So it's like I have a rough, because I always sort of, as I said, think about my layout, think about the Z formation, various elements like that, that I kind of know that there's going to be some sort of flow for between top and bottom. So actually I was going to try and find a palette knife, but that would require knowing that there's one nearby. So I'll just do it like so. There we go. That looks a bit lovely. And maybe a bit more down here. And then I'll get my texture-y paste out. Also trying to work out what I've done with my, I mentioned beads, but I have no idea what I actually did with my, that's the thing, I'm still sort of in many temporary abodes. My crafting is in many places. I'm going to be peeling and glue off my fingers for ages. Right, let's get that just sort of stuck on. There we go. Oh good. Right, I'm going to grab my texture paste. That's transparent gesso, so that's not what I'm looking for. White texture paste, and I may also get some marble paste as well. Now I will definitely need a palette knife. Oh look, I've got one here. That is fortuitous. Right, let's get some of this one. This is the suspended circles. So I'm going to put some of that down. We're not going down on an even surface, so we are not going to get a perfect stencil through this. But again, we're just kind of thinking about our texture and our layers, and we will see elements of it. I'm going to pop it in 3 different places. Stick to the rule of 3s. Like so. Oop. And let's put a bit over here as well. There we go. I like it. Right. I'm also just going to pop some on with my palette knife around some of the edges. Like so. Adhere some of this thread down with it as well. As I said, we're just whacking a load of texture on there. Right, now I am wanting to find my beads. Like I've got these glass beads, so that may work, but I've got little micro beads somewhere. Or shall we just stick some of these down? Yeah, I can't be bothered, quite frankly. I can't be bothered going hunting for different things, so I'm just going to splodge a bit of gel medium on, and let's just stick some beads in. And I will do that down here as well. I can always add sort of some more of these. These probably get covered, well they will, they'll get covered in gesso. But that'll do for the minute. So 20 minutes we have to go and pick my daughter up. So let's see if we can just maybe heat it with a heat gun. I'm working on mount board, so it shouldn't warp too much. We'll see how we go. And then we can maybe get a layer of gesso on there as well. And see how we go with that. And then I'll probably have to do a bit of a clean up. Right, let's get all of this dry. I have been heating this for a while with a heat gun. I'll continue to do most of it off camera, but I'm just noticing how much the thread is moving and changing as it's got the heat on. So I just thought I would show some of that with you, because this is one of the things that I love about various things with mixed media, is that you lose the ability to control what you are doing. And I think that is really interesting. Look, can you see how much that thread is moving? Because it's I don't know, it's having some sort of reaction to the heat, which is making it really, really interesting. And as I said, I think one of the best things that we can do with art is to sort of give up some of that control, embrace imperfection, trust the creative process. And sometimes when you do stuff like this, like heat something or we'll play with water later, and the product it's just doing its own thing, it's doing what it wants to do, that you can end up with some really, really interesting results. But I don't know if you can actually see, I've got a fresh bit there, but like, you see how much that is moving and changing. It's awesome. Right, I'm going to continue playing with my heat gun. Okay, so it's not fully dry, but the gel medium has formed enough of a skin on it, I think, for me to get some gesso over all of this. So let's get some gesso down. I've got 10 minutes before the school run. I'm just going to get a nice big brush on this, but like, I'm not sure that I love this brush, but I don't really want to wreck it either. But I have to say, using a big brush does get the job done much quicker. But this has sort of probably been designed more for painting. And my other one that I like to use isn't round. Right, so we'll just go for this one. If you want to laugh, on my Instagram I have a little reel of me singing into my brush. Right, so I am on lots of different social media, as is our lovely Dawn. Dawn has her own Facebook group, as do I. I've lost a bead there, but the best thing is not to be overly partial or attached to any of your layers, because your layers will gradually change. So it's like, if you make a layer that you really like, appreciate it, acknowledge it, but don't become so attached to it that it prevents you from moving on. That's advice from Seth Apter there. So you're only one layer away from magic. So it's good to sort of remember that. Anyway, what was I waffling on about? I was waffling on about social media. So our Dawn has a lovely group, as do I. So we're both on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I'm working really hard at the minute to improve my Instagram for you. So like, if there's collections and things that you like, I'm gradually sort of putting pictures of them into my stories so that I can highlight them, so that it means you don't have to scroll through my whole page if you're looking for inspiration. You can just find the tab for that, and it will take you to the tab, and then you can find all the makes in the one place. So yeah, so that's that. But it's just made me think about it, because I did I sang into my big brush. So if you fancy checking that out, that's on my Instagram. If I remember, I will try and link it. I need to remember to do these things right. The little beady bits may need a second coat, but I probably just do that off camera and come back to you. As I said, I'll just probably finish this one off and go and pick my daughter up from school, and then I will, as I said, just probably give those little bits another quick layer, or I might just put another quick layer all over it, and I'll be back to you when this is all covered and all dry. Just quickly popping on because I've noticed that I've got some ridges down here from where the edges of the paper are. It's not too bad on this side, but there's quite a few of them here, and I just think by the time I start to add colour on there, that's all going to sit in there and it's going to bother me. So what I'm going to do right now is sort of cover those elements with some of my texture paste and just tap that down so that I'll have a texture there. Rather, I don't mind a few of the lines showing, but I just have a feeling that if the colour was to run down them on the whole piece, that it could be fairly distracting to the overall piece. So yeah, I'm just sort of getting in there now with my texture piece, just to, I'm not going to cover all of them because I think some of them could be quite nice, but just to sort of lessen that a little bit. And yeah, so I just thought I would show you that because otherwise, you know, I've not given it an accurate representation of how the project has gone. Right, that is definitely me leaving all of that to dry, and I will be back when we're on the colouring stage. Okay, so my layer of gesso has dried because it's now after dinner. I've got a little bit of time, but then my husband has a Zoom meeting now, so yeah, we're just going to play until I have to take over the whole child watching thing again. So I have cut a square of this just because I want to bring that pink in, and I think that's going to go approximately there. I'm trying to push this up so that you can see the whole project. Okay. But I also want to tie some of that pink into the rest of the project. So I'm just going to tear certain elements of that. I just, not much, I just want, as I said, just a little bit just to tie it in. So I'm just thinking that I'll have a couple of strips which we'll just glue on before I start the colouring part of this process. It will probably get covered a little bit, although we're using gouache, so I might be able to sort of maintain some of this colour. Let me see. We will see how we get on. So, and then maybe a longer bit just there. I'll pull my topper thing back in a second just to see how that is looking. So just with those extra elements added in. I'm also looking at the rest of the toppers, seeing if, right, so I'm just thinking that if we've got that, then this is probably going to go about there in between those three areas of texture. So actually just something like that will probably be okay. I'm kind of wondering whether to tear some of this paper as well, just so that we've got that element of the touch of green in as well. I'm going to be bringing green in with the gouache once I get to the gouache. I'm going to actually have to pull out my, because I've got the tub of 60, but I know the greens and things that I have in my sort of pre-made tub that I like. We're trying to preserve the sentiment so that can be used on another project. But I'm just thinking that it might just bring in some of that green as well. Yeah, I likey. Right, let's tear this side down as well. Yeah, my gouache paints that I've sort of set out a palette how I like, and I'm sort of naturally more drawn to the sort of bright in your face colours. So I would be having to do sort of quite a lot of mixing down with white and things to get it to suit this project, I think. Whereas if I just sort of go through the actual gouache paint there, because like there's 60 in the palette and I've only got about 20 in my palette, so I'm sure there's plenty more to choose from. So I'm thinking if we put a bit of that green there, so that we've got something like that. Okay, so let's get that stuck down, and then what I will do is I will put some clear gesso over those so that we don't lose the paper, the detail of the paper, but we've still sort of protected it from all the next layers that are going to come. I'm seeing that dotty paper now as well, dotty side. Oh, that might get a bit lost. We'll have to see. We'll keep playing. We'll keep just playing away and seeing what happens, and just it'll come to its own conclusion when it's ready. Let's get all of that stuck down. The thing is, it is going over various textures, so it might take a little bit of persuasion, but the one good thing about gel medium is it literally will stick anything to anything, so if anything's going to work over all these textures, gel medium will. And I'm using my Pretty Gets Gritty gel medium. Right, let's get all of that glued up. Get some gel down there. I feel like I'm sort of losing my waffle abilities. It's like I'm concentrating on sticking stuff down and the ability to waffle has gone out of the window. Right, let's just pull that up a little bit. So I'm kind of wondering what direction Dawn will... She might have gone for the pinks actually, because dusky pink is her favourite colour, so maybe she has included the pinks. We will see. I'm kind of also wishing that I'd put distress inks on the list so that I could sort of edge this properly, but we're going to have to find another way of framing it, because obviously I didn't think far enough ahead to put that on. That's the thing, quite often when we put these sort of challenges together, we sort of see different things and think, oh, that'd be quite nice. It's only as you're working on it that I kind of think, well, if this wasn't a challenge, actually right now I'd be getting my distress inks out to sort of pull the eye in. But that's where having challenges like this is quite good, because you maybe don't go for what you would normally obviously just turn to, so it means you have to think outside the box a little bit from what you normally do, and doing that you can learn new techniques, you can discover new ways of doing things that you wouldn't have otherwise, so it is a good thing to do. So as I said, we will lose probably some of the patterns of this, but I don't want to completely lose it, because I think it will tie in really nicely with our focal point. So I'm just gonna, let's get some clear gesso on that, and then while that clear gesso is, oh, I've already put stuff down, while that clear gesso is drying, I am going to have a rummage through my gouache paints and see what colours I can get out. I'm thinking I'm going to stick with those greens. Now it's quite interesting because we're working with a water-based product, so if we mix green and pink we could end up with sort of brown colours, which could be alright if it's sort of stuck to a sepia tone, like in here we've got the sort of sepia tone with the pink, so it could work, but we will just have to see how that goes. But that's kind of the direction that we're going in at the minute. Right, I will be back when I have some paint. Wow, so we have an impressive selection of greens in the Arteza gouache. I will put my link down. I don't do it nearly enough because I have signed up for the affiliate marketing, which means if you did get it through me, I would make a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of commission. And I'm saying tiny because I haven't made any commission yet. But I don't actually promote it enough or mention it. But look at all those greens! And I do actually really love my gouaches. So I'm thinking we've got some good ones. I've also pulled in some sort of like taupey colours and some greys, and we'll just see how we get on. But I'm thinking that this sage green looks quite good. This is obviously just from, and then we've got a pearl green here, pearlised, which might be quite nice. And we'll probably need a darker one. We've got the olive. Yeah, let's try those ones to start off with. We can always pull some more in and we'll just see how we get on. The advantage as well is that even if these dry on my palette, I can bring them in another day, so we don't have to worry if we don't use them. Oh, that's a nice colour. I like that a lot. I'm sort of rediscovering my colours because I've got my set palette and I just knew that these weren't on it. Oh, that's nice. It's a lovely pearly colour. So we will see how we get on. I've imagined that this process may take a while because those are really soft colours and I think it's just going to take us a bit of time. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to be a bit more generous about how much I've pulled out there because I can see me going through that and we're going to end up spending more time pushing more paint out than we are actually painting. Right, let's just see how we get on. Look at my lovely mermaid. I think they're meant to be unicorn brushes actually. They're nice. Got them from Hobbycraft. Right, I am going to maybe start, let's get some water on here to start off with so that we get a nice movement as we start and we'll just see how we go. I'm going to go with this sage green to start off with, and as I said, I might end up having to put some of this on fast forward. We will see how we get on, how it goes, because I think with the colouring process it's good to sort of take your time, gradually build up, gradually see what it needs. Now I'm already looking at that and thinking that is quite mint green because compared to that, that's a bluey green, but actually that's our focal, oh wow, that's our focal element there. So yeah, we've definitely got the right colours going on in here. I don't need to worry about this area too much because obviously we're not going to see that too much. So I'm just going to apply this green in some various places and then we'll get some water on and let the water do its thing. I think I said earlier when we were when I was sort of force drying it, you kind of take away the control, and that's what using your water does as well. We're just going to really let that just do its thing and move around. And this is where our textures, because it will go in all the nooks and crannies that we've created there. So we'll just, can't be a bit of good drippage, can you? It's fabulosus, yummy yummy. So yeah, we're gonna, thankfully we're working on a bit of mount board here. So this, so my green is kind of going over onto my pink there. And that's fine because I knew it would a little bit. But I'm hoping that we'll sort of, we will preserve a nod to it. The fact that we've used clear gesso instead of the white, just encouraging some of that drippage. Okay, so that's how it's looking at the moment. So we definitely need to, just gonna really encourage this, give it a wash with this colour, and then we'll maybe get some of the darker colours going in there. And as I said, I think with this we're just going to have to take our time. So yeah, I think let's get this dried, I might try applying another colour with you, and then we might just have to do some fast forward work. So I'm going to try this, a darker one, which was the olive green and some of the shadow area. So I'm kind of deliberately picking out bits that would be in the shadow areas. As I said, I'm kind of aware that this is going here, so there's not much point sort of focusing too much on that middle area, so we need to sort of focus on the extremities, because those are the bits that is going to be seen. It will sort of gradually run into those other areas as well, and that's all good. But yeah, just to sort of get a bit of movement on this, what I might do is get a sponge or something and do some edging that way, seeing as I failed to think about putting a distress ink pad on it. I'm going to try some of this pearl as well, because I think that could be quite nice doing its thing here and there. So I'm just going to put it on in various places, and then we'll add some water. So I think I might do this bit. This is mount board, and I have used the heat gun on it, and it has just warped slightly. Obviously it's going to be harder to straighten mount board, so yeah, I don't want to be kind of keeping force drying it too much. I'm just trying to get into some of the textured areas there. So that looks like I've gone really quite heavy, but this is where we will get the movement once we get that water on and get it moving. Oh, that olive green's actually really nice once it's loosened a little bit. It's looking good. Look how lovely and green my project is. I like it. See, there is such a thing as a nice green. Actually, my sister's favourite colour is green. That's gone quite heavy there. Not overly keen on it quite that strong. I mean, it's still a nicer green than the other green we worked with, but yeah, that's gone a bit heavier than I wanted. But that's okay, because we can also use our cloths. I kind of want my drippage to be going vertically though, but it has helped to. And this is where now all that texture, the random texture from the leftover die cut shapes, we've got texture that we put through a stencil, all just getting picked up. I mean, look at that. That's just a bit yummy. A bit yummy. Right, I'm going to get a bit more down the bottom here. A bit more in this corner. And then I'm going to spray it again, and then I think I'm going to let that dry naturally and just see where we are when we come back. It'll probably need some more work, but as I said, this is getting really quite wet now. But I always, when I'm using watercolours and stuff, I do tend to end up using quite a lot of water. Right, let's, ooh, it's just delicious. Right, let's just leave that to have its own little party, to work out what direction it wants to go in. And I'm off for a cuppa, and we will come back and see how things are looking and feeling then. Okay, so I'm just trying to see how I'm recording here. I think I want to pick up a bit more of a bluey green, just put touches of that. So I've just spied, we've got this one here, which is a viridian green. So let's see if we can just touches of it, I think. As I said, the colouring process, it does take a while. It's good just to sort of build up naturally, build up slowly, take a step back, see how you're feeling about it. And all of these different colours that we're popping in. It's all going to add sort of shades and tones to the project. So we will see how we get on, but I'm just thinking that it's just going to tie in that little bit there. So I don't know that I want loads, but just a little touch of it. And we'll see how we go. I'm sort of going in a bit of a kind of corner shape, almost to like frame the main feature part. So let's get a bit of water on that, get it moving and blending with the layers that are below. I do think that this is the most fun part about doing projects like this, is just letting the water do the work for you. There we go. So I'm just going to lay that down. There we go, so that we can see that. I've got some lovely shades and things going on in there. And I'm thinking that that's pretty good. I think I might also just bring a little down this side as well, and then we'll leave that dry and work on the focal point there. I don't particularly want to do that. I don't know why I did that. Oh, we missed a bit of comedy gold, I tell you. So just as I turned my camera off earlier, literally my chair snapped. I ended up on the floor. So, you know, that a couple of seconds earlier and we could have had an interesting moment. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just heard this crack. It's a good chair as well. Just heard this crack and I was like, oh, that's a bit strange. And yeah, the next minute the chair was broken in two places and I was on the floor. So that's my nice swivelly chair gone to rest. I think we might be able to find a bit of the what do you call it, the part to attach to the bottom of it, as opposed to have to get some new chair, which is quite good. Oops, should have cleaned my brush more thoroughly there. I was just going to bring some of this olive back in places as well, and just to blend it, put it at the vermilion sort of went in as well. But yeah, as you can see, just slowly and surely just getting there. And we've got lots of interest going on. Oh, there's all sorts of noise going on in the other room. So there we go. I'm loving the way that that is going in amongst all the thread and stuff like that. I still feel that we're going to have to do some sort of technique to create a almost vignette effect, but yeah, at the minute I think we're good with that. So I'm just going to pop that to the side and on the floor, let it sort of start drying itself. I will encourage it with a heat gun in a bit, but we've got this bit to do, so we can be working on that while we're allowing the thing to dry. So I'm thinking that I kind of want to tear this. Well, decision made now. And what's quite cool about these papers is they are double-sided, so when you do a technique like this you can get that, the interest of the paper on the other side. Actually, we can afford to tear that a bit further before affecting the, what do you call it, the sentiment. So I'm going to get that, and whilst I'm rolling that back, I'm sort of scanning to see what on earth I have done with my glue. So whilst I continue to scan, I've grabbed my black Pro marker and I'm just going to edge this, because of course that will be essential to life. Okay. Right. doing that, like so. And let's get that on there like that. Okay, and I want to grab my glue, which for some reason has just walked off my desk. Maybe it's gone to join the party that my glue gun's having. So I finally found it, and I've actually spent a bit of time unclogging it before so that I did turn the camera straight back on, and we go from looking for the glue to unclogging the glue, because you know, I've managed to put a fingerprint of glue over there, so that's delightful. Right, let's get this down. Just wipe that a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to tear this bit as well. And let's get some interest going here. I might actually just spray this with water a little bit, because you will tend to find that your paper will become far more malleable when you spray it a little bit, and also when it dries it's almost like stronger. It goes quite crispy, and it will stay in its place that you've manipulated it into better. So it's almost got like a double roll there, like so. Right, and the next thing I'm going to do is grab a pile of cardboard, and let's build the back of this up so that we've got something to stick to our substrate. Okay, so that is that. I'm just going to grab some gel medium. I have layered a load of cardboard on the back. The colouring's not 100% done and perfect yet, but I think we're kind of at the stage where we can sort of be building up to the next stage, see what a difference having the flowers and embellishment makes. As I said, I probably will bring some colours around the edges to frame it a little bit better than it currently is. Yeah, and we'll see how we go. I'm just going to maybe bring that down a little bit further. Okay, and then what I'm thinking is from behind these tears that we will have some flowers. Right, maybe we should take this off, and actually I've got some pink and green thread that we could maybe just lay down first, because obviously the other stuff has become a sort of textural background element. But we could sort of lay some more down that we kind of keep the colours of this one. Pink one in. I've got something like that. So I have cut some of these out, and I think it is just kind of what we're needing to finish this off. So let's just get a bit of glue on that, and then we'll just tuck that behind those there, and it's like, it's the frubbery, isn't it? It's the, you know, when you buy flowers and stuff like that, and you've got the main flowers, but then you have all these sort of little bitty bits, little white thing. I don't know what, because I'm not a florally person, but you've got all the little elements, and it's the little bits of greenery and those tiny little frubbery bits that just finish the bouquet off. And so it was definitely needing it. So I've got another bit down here, so I've just cut them off the edge of those roses things, so it means they're looking a bit funny at the minute, but we'll still be able to use them, as we will see when we move on to the card and tag part of this make. Right, so I am now just going to stick that, let's get so that we're seeing a bit more of it, and a bit more up here. I'm just going to cut that around there, and we can stick this bit just, there we go. like so. Right, I'm just going to leave that to dry. I feel, as I said, I'm probably going to try, let's see if this will work. I'm going to use one of these. I've got a gazillion of these things anyway. Let's get one of these brush things, and I'm going to grab this paint. And let's just see if we can use this paint to darken the piece. I can wash it anyway. What I tend to do when I'm using these things, so I'm almost using it as I would an ink pad. Yeah, I like that. It's just I just really feel it needs darkened around the edges. And as I said, we're having to work with what we have got a little bit. I may dry brush this, but I most likely will have to do that in the morning. Let it dry properly. So what I'm going to do is, because obviously, you know, this is me, so I'm doing this Friday night and this is due up at 6 o'clock on Saturday. So what I will do is I'll do the card and the tag, and I will film that, and then I'll get up first thing and sort of maybe do some dry brushing. What is quite good about these is we are working with gouache paints, so they're slightly more heavy bodied than just using a normal watercolour. I mean, as I said, we're getting a really strong look here, as though we've used an ink pad to draw that in. So I do think that's kind of framed it much better. So I think we could sort of get away with dry brushing with this as well. So maybe like a goldy colour, or we could just get gesso, which might help to sort of knock it back a little bit as well, because we've maybe, now I've done that, I've maybe lost the sort of watery feel, but I did feel it was needing, yeah, I did feel it was sort of needing strengthened. So what we'll do is we'll leave that now till the morning, we'll let that dry and do its thing, get its shape back a little bit, and then we'll just try dry brushing these details to get that out, and maybe some splatters. But I think we're probably good to go on that. I probably will end up putting my pro marker around the edge of it as well, just to frame it. So we'll pop that aside and let's do our card and our tag. I have grabbed a square card. This is an offcut of card that I had, and I've just put it into a tag shape myself. And I'm not even going to think, I am just going to get some of this paper down, and we'll stick it down and we'll see how we get on and what occurs. So let's get this down. Yeah, as I said, this is just about, the idea is that we put something together that blends with the project that we've made and all coordinates. So I think we're probably going to have to get some green in there, but we can work out a nice simple way of doing that. So that's me got that. What I think I may do, let's just get that. So I was wondering whether just to add some texture paste, I'm just going to go actually being good and tidied away cleaned my stencil, and so everything was in the bathroom. Right, so I'm just going to put the same stencil that we put on the project. Let's just get a bit of texture onto the card as well, like so. Just, why not? Extra element of interest. So I'll just pop that there, and I will pop that to the side to dry. And let's do the same with this tag. We'll not overthink it, we'll just get something down. I'm just going to rip it this way so that we've got the white core on this side. Stick some glue. As I said, I have no idea what direction we're going in. I'm using the scraps, so I'm just not thinking about it, I'm just getting them down. Right, neaten this up, and then whatever's left from this will get torn up and put beside that pink piece. Right, I'm using my silly small scissors, so it's taking a bit longer. I've got two pairs of whiskers. This pair that I bought when I lost my other pair of whiskers, but my other pair is my one that I like. It's the one that fits to my hands better. I don't know where that is right now. It'll be under, seriously, honestly, if you could see what I am currently sat in, it is horrendous. So I'm really needing to sort that out. Right, let's get that stuck down as well. Okay. And we will get a little bit of texture piece onto this, and then I will be good and go and clean my stencil and palette knife again. So let's just, and then while I'm doing that, it's just going to allow this to dry. Thankfully this texture piece, this is pretty gritty texture piece, but actually it dries fairly quickly, to be honest. I mean, I probably will encourage it a little bit with the heat gun, but it does tend to do its own thing fairly quickly and easily. I'm just going to run my finger down the edges there so I don't end up with any sort of strange gritty bits. Okay, I'll be back. I have just wafted both of those over the heat gun. Seeing as we have this green paint, let's just get a bit of water on that and get that activated again. And we can just, I don't even want to put loads, let's just get a bit of splatter. That'll start for the minute. Bit of green splatter on there. And then what I might do is build up some of the flowers, the die cut flowers. And then we can always possibly put a little bit of watercolour detail. Now my card is sort of warping and bending and I've gone straight onto the card, which is not normally ideal, but the fact that I will be leaving the main part to the main wall hanging thing to dry, it means I've got time to sort of, whatever I create here, for it to sort of stick under a book. So we've got these, I'm just going to waft that again. Right, we've got these flowers that I had cut. I've cut the edge off them to get the leaves. I'm just going to lift this up because the mat that I am currently working on is not heat proof. As I said, I am going to warp these by putting watercolour on them because these are just cheap card blanks, pre-made ones. They're not really designed for this abuse, but as I said, I've got the advantage that I can put them under a pile of books overnight and it'll look good as new in the morning. And that is what I tend to do when I make backgrounds or something that's kind of got lots of water or something like that. In fact, I currently have boxes and boxes and boxes of paper in my hallway because I'm currently packing the new paper pad for February. So I've got plenty of heavy things that this can sit under for a minute. Right, so I have these flowers. So we've got a few of them that I mercilessly chopped into. So we can maybe sort of use those. I do this in a way that I can cover the chopped bits. See, I've got a whole one here. So we can maybe do something like that. Keep that nice and simple. So let's just grab some, I'm going to grab 3D foam and then I'm going to stick it all under a book. I'm sure it will make a difference. Right, what I'm going to do actually is let's put this one on flat. And because there's quite a lot of white space in the background of this, normally I would want to cut a bit closer. I did with the wall hanging because I didn't want too much of a white edge. But to be honest, because we've got all this white space, I think the white edge, having the heavier white edge there works. So I think we're all good. So I'm just going to put 3D foam on the last one there. And just means we've got that touch of green then for it to sort of, because it's quite green, the project. But oh, so we've still got that, so it kind of matches a little bit. Okay, so we've got that, and then we've got some fabulous, quite like that actually, today is the day. Yeah, I like that. There's just a little pip there that's going to bother me. Oh. What else? Make it happen. Throw kindness around like confetti. Right, yeah, no, I like this. I'm going to stick with that. Then I'm going to edge with black, and I am going to... Sorry, my husband is, I don't know if you can hear that, but he's sneezing away in the other room. Let's just get a black edging to that. So this has got a mixed media element on it. We have, you know, got a bit of texture paste on there. We've got some torn edges, and yet we've still come away with a very clean and simple card. So mixed media can be sort of layer upon layer upon layer, like we have with the main thing. But we can also use, actually I should have done a bit of thread. Can I peel this one off? And then that would have, yay. Oops, let's grab a bit of thread. Just going to add that last little bit of texture, and again it's trying to, the idea of all of this is, I don't know if you can hear my husband completely sneezing away. As I said, the idea is that everything coordinates and looks like it belongs together, and the tag and the card the tag and the card are a bit more pinky. So let's add that element of green, and I'm trying to, I want it all loose and random like that, but I don't want the end, I want the end tucked in behind. I want Can you hear that? You have to tell me in the comments if you can hear that. There we go. Now I've just got all that little bit of thread element as well. It's just a tiny detail, but I think it makes a difference. Right, let's get the other black pen, and we'll just add a doodly border because it is essential to life. It's essential to my life anyway, just to add a doodly border, so we'll do that. So this particular paper pad, it was designed for sort of journaling, bullet journaling, planner, diary type thing. That's what a lot of the elements are like. So it just shows you, never sort of look at your products and think they have to be pigeonholed into the section that they sort of came in. You then take them and do what you want. So we have created a gift card, a tag, a gift tag, and a wall hanging from what is essentially a planner kit. So it just shows, you know, you can do that. So that's that one. So that came together nice and quickly. So now we've got the tag. So we'll see if we can do something similar. I'm just going to neaten that there. Right, we don't have as many flowers left, so I may have to do, I'm going to have to chop that. Oh, I've got another one. So we could do something like that. Let's just go for it. Let's just stick it down and see what happens. I will do the thread trick in a minute with this as well. This one's also ended up with paint on it, so there's quite a lot to cover on this one, but we can still use it. So that's the thing, I've chopped into these flowers and sort of almost destroyed them as they were. But they can still be used, you know, you can still use it and make it work. So don't kind of think, oh no, I can't do that because then I've ruined it. It's not a problem. Right, let's get some thread on that. Okay, and we will get that stuck down. Let's get that over here. I love this because it looks like such a mess when you do this, and it's kind of like, what on earth are you on, woman? And then, you know, as soon as you put something down, it looks completely different. So now I'm going to grab my 3D foam and I'll get that down and a little bit of glue. Let's get that done there, and then we'll pop that just like so. We'll have the thread coming out on that one. That's worked really well on that one. Nice shape. Okay, I'm going to chop this down. And as you can see, I completely abused my scissors because that's gone through glue, and and then what I'm actually going to do is let's pull that off, going to stick that back down there, like so. Right. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Sorry, catching. There's me busy laughing at my husband sneezing constantly, and it's obviously catching. Clearly, okay, so this is a strange edit there. The battery suddenly died, and I was just in the process of saying I really probably should actually, you know, dust my house. Seeing as my husband and I are just, you know, wandering around sneezing. Right, so we are just going to edge this because it's me and it's essential to life to frame it. I just always feel things look better when they are framed properly. If you watch me regularly, you'll know it's a bit of a mantra. Dear, right, we've got a few little pips here. So we will just remove those because they would bother me somewhat. Right, let's get some glue on here. Right, also can't see where I've put the lid for the glue, so that means I'll be battling with it later. Right, let's pop that down like so, and let's do the doodly border to match the card. So yeah, these are very different colours. Hopefully it'll stay. I think by the time we have added the white gesso to the wall art, it will knock back from that green quite a bit, and it will all sort of blend together. I'm really interested to see which sentiment Dawn has gone for. It'll be interesting to see her take on this, it always is. Right, so that is my card and tag. I'll show you them again at the end once we're showing everything together, but that's that for just now. I am going to tune off for today now, and I'll show you how this is progressing. So this is here, we've got this, but obviously the gouache is a water-based product, and so if I try and dry gesso over that now, it's just going to move. So to give myself the best chance, but you can see like they look quite white in comparison to that. So yeah, definitely need to get the white gesso on there to blend it all together, but they do kind of go. So that is me till the morning. I'll be back with you soon. Okay, so I have let this dry now, and I have grabbed a brush, and I am just going to do some dry brushing. So I'm just getting a tiny bit of gesso, okay, and I am working it into my brush, and I want it about 3/4 of the way up my brush. And when we're dry brushing, it's good to hold the back so that we're doing it really loosely, because it's will go on heavier if we're trying to grip it like this. So it's like nice like this, and we're brushing the flat. And if we do that, it means we are less likely to go a bit heavier. I might end up choosing to go heavier just to knock this back a little bit, but I'm hoping that the dry brushing will just bring out the texture and lighten the overall piece, and we'll see if that is enough. If it's not, I might get my finger into the gesso and just whiten out certain areas, because I'm liking it, but I'm kind of feeling it's a little bit dark. Look at that. We can see the texture paste coming out now. All those lovely textures, sort of we're seeing them. And it has lightened it quite a bit. If we look at this side now compared to, say, look at that corner compared to that corner, you can see quite a big difference. So let's just keep working with this. As I said, we'll really just try and brighten it so we're not losing the green. And actually the green's going to look stronger because we've got those white pops, and then we've got the dark green that we put down at the end around the edges. That dark green is going to look darker and the white is going to look brighter, and that is the great thing about working with contrasting colours. That's why it's really important to try and get your darks and your lights into a project, because that will really make it stand out. So yeah, I think the dry brushing is doing the trick. I'm trying to do this so that you can see it. Oops, now there you go, that's gone down far too heavy. So that's a combination of things, a bit too much on my brush, and I went at an angle rather than it flat. But thankfully, we'll just wipe that over and then we'll do it again. As I said, I'm just trying to catch the texture. But yeah, I think it is working quite well. I'm trying to do this so that you can see what I'm doing in the camera. To get it zoomed in enough so that you can see what is going on. Sometimes it's zoomed in too far to see the entire project. So then we kind of end up in a situation where we're like this. So, but yeah, we are getting there. I think I'm happy. I think I'm H-A-P-P-Y. I know I am. I'm sure I am. I'm H-A-P-P-Y. Right. Plus it's Saturday morning. It's the weekend. I'm just going to grab. I've got a bit more on my brush here, and I'm just going to pick certain areas out and really brighten those up quite a bit. And let's get a little bit of dry brushing on those flowers as well. It just sort of ties it into the project. I might get some of the edges of this, not too much because I don't want to thingy the focal element, but it will just tie it into the entire project. Plus I accidentally bleached some of the bits in wiping off splodges of paint. So we just make that look deliberate. Right, let's get a bit of gesso on the flowers as well. So I am really, really intrigued to see which sentiment Dawn has gone for. Shall I hedge my bets? Right, I think I'm going to go for this one, partly because it's a lovely sentiment, but also because it's a dusky pink, and dusky pink is Dawn's favourite colour. Will I be right? Or knowing her, she might have just chopped all the sentiments up and gone completely different, not used it as a whole at all. I bet you should use the packaging, like not the packaging, like the die cut sheet to create texture. I think she'll have done that because that's the sort of thing she does quite a lot. Right, I think that we are just about there, maybe a bit more on these flowers. Okay, so that is all good. What I am going to do now is, let's grab some card. I'm just going to cover the actual sentiment because I don't mind if splashes go elsewhere. Let's get the lid on the gesso, and I'm scanning for my white splattery stuff. Here it is. See, if you sing, it helps. The other thing, it really helps if you lose your scissors. If you wander around your craft room going, scissors, scissors, scissors. If you say scissors to yourself and do the action, they appear. True story. Yes, the girl is crazy. The girl is a Looney Tune. Right, let's get some. I've discovered these fan brushes make amazing flicks. I discovered that in a live the other day, so that's my new favourite thing. but it's a bit more difficult getting it into my bottle. So we'll work with it. Let's just shove it in there. There we go. And this is a white liquid acrylic, I think, which is cool because it's quite opaque and it's already, yeah, Artist Acrylic Ink, De La Rowney. So I quite like this for my splashes because it's nice and opaque. It's already prepared, like with the watercolours you kind of have to activate it and stuff like that. So it's just sort of ready to go. Now what I am noticing is I'm getting a more generalised flick. It's not, the direction of it isn't quite as pronounced because normally I turn my work to sort of affects the direction. I will still do it, just probably out of habit more than anything else, but actually that brush has sort of negated the need for that quite so much. Right, and that's that, and I probably should have edged it in black first, but I was so excited about getting the splashes on, I kind of got a bit too far ahead of myself. So let's just edge this in black, because that is also one of life's essentials. I just always think it makes a difference to framing your work. And then what I would do is just put a wire hook on the back. You can just make your own twisting wire, and then that will hang up on the wall. So let's just get that edged there, like so. Now what I will do is just clear my desk slightly and we can see all the makes side by side. Okay, so that is everything side by side. I actually quite like the fact that the tag and the card are quite white. It does create a contrast, but it does all still match, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so if you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing. I will be back again with more crafty goodness very, very soon. But also don't forget to check out our lovely Dawn, because as usual she'll have knocked the challenge out the park and done something completely different to me. So please do go on and check out her video as well. And I will be back with you very, very soon. Okay, take care everybody. Bye!